Here's Paul. Dallas has a foul to give. Booker on a three. He got it! Devin Booker gives Phoenix a 1-point lead with
5 from long range. Durant's got 11. Craig goes down. Durant has got a highlight.
Remaining. Tatum drives down and throws it down. Wow!
Bryant for the win.
Kobe Bryant has hit a shot at the buzzer.
Start off with MVP. Probably the most contentious one right now, I think. So I have Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I can hold it in the front so
about-
we can all
yeah.
talk, and then I actually have Steph Curry, and
I have Jokic.
yeah, I think all are pretty up there for contenders for the MVP. So let's preface with that. Actually, you can start because I think you have the front runner for the MVP award currently.
Yeah, so I picked Embiid. Numbers wise, I mean he's up there for sure, right? He's pretty much up there with everyone who's doing it this season. Giannis, they have very similar numbers. But the reason why I gave Embiid the edge over Jokic and Giannis and other people who are also in the race is because the Sixers are winning, and they're winning like a lot, and they're pretty scary. I mean, they're third in the East right now, but once James Harden gets there and actually starts playing, he's going to be pretty deadly with Embiid, and I think Embiid's only going to get better because of it. So yeah, I had Embiid as my MVP. That's why.
Yeah, and I mean mainly I had Curry just because. I'll be honest. I was thinking about putting Giannis, but then I looked at his numbers and I looked. I know these Giannis haters. I'm pretty neutral about Giannis, but he personally, I think he has not stepped up the way he should be every year to make him essentially like the number one player in the league. So he obviously doesn't get MVP. I have Steph Curry just because we saw him begin the year be absolutely dominant and amazing, and actually lead the Warriors to the 1 seed at a time until the Suns took it because they are overall, I think, a more well-balanced team. But I think with the return of Clay and I guess Steph, still keeping the same production as he did without Clay, and they still have Jordan Poole and everybody, I think that shows that he's still a MVP candidate because he's still able to perform at that same level that he was in the beginning of the year with all these pieces coming back. And also it means that their team's going to win more and proves that, the winning plus the stats show that he can be an MVP candidate.
Mm-hmm. For me at least, what in terms of Jokic, obviously the Nuggets aren't doing like super hot right now. Reed, could you actually fact check me on what their standing is?
They are fifth off the top of my head.
They are sixth now.
Sixth.
There you go.
Okay, so they're sixth right now. They're not doing like fantastic. They're still in the playoff race though. They're still an apparent team, and still has a lot of potential. On top of that, Jokic is a absolutely monster of a player, and I would personally say I would make the argument that Jokic is one of the most desired players to play with in the league right now. But
That's
obviously
one of the best passers.
Yeah.
Not only passing big men, just passer. Period.
Exactly. So, and I think that gives him an edge up over these other two candidates with Joel Embiid and Steph Curry. I think that he just has the tenacity to be able to bring this team up. I mean, the fact that he has basically been carrying this team on his back and they're still the sixth seed shows a lot.
Especially without Jamal Murray.
Murray. It shows a lot. So I think that he could easily go back-to-back for MVPs this season.
Yeah, I think that's kind of shows like the two schools of thought that you can go through when it comes to MVP, because I picked Embiid over Jokic because Jokic is the more well-balanced player. I think there's no debate about that. But I picked Embiid over him. I gave him the edge because his team is doing better, and I think his team's doing better because of him. And you're absolutely right, though. Jokic is totally carrying this Nuggets team right now, but I had to give it to the 3 seed over the 6 seed.
For sure.
Yeah, I can agree with that, and also that's why I picked Curry because he's still maintaining that 2 seed in the West. Let's move on to Defensive Player of the Year, which is what we have next. I have another Golden State Warrior player. Draymond Green is my Defensive Player of the Year, and also he's the front runner currently for Defensive Player of the Year according to Vegas odds. So
yeah, I couldn't give it to Draymond. I think Draymond embodies what I think a defensive player should be in terms of like how they've given it to Rudy Gobert the past couple years, and Rudy Gobert really only blocks shots. He's a great rim protector for sure, but that's pretty much all he does in my opinion. Whereas when they gave it to Giannis, I liked when they gave it to Giannis because Giannis can guard any position pretty much. He'll lock down just about anybody. So I like when they gave it to him, but I went with Giannis again this year. I don't know why I didn't just start up with that. But so I went with Giannis because of everything I just said. And I feel like you can't really give it to some guy who's really good at one thing on the defensive end, especially when that one thing gets exposed in the playoffs every single year.
Sure. Yep.
You know, in the regular season, Rudy Gobert is the best shot blocker, but when it comes down to the playoffs, we've seen the past 3 or 4 years now him just get absolutely exposed.
Yeah, he cracks the bed.
Yeah, for sure. So that's why I had to give it to Giannis this year.
For me, I went with Mikhail Bridges. A little bit of a dark horse in this race, but
A hot take, if you will.
yeah, hot take,
Yes.
if you will. I had a bit of trouble deciding between Mikhail Bridges or Draymond. I think both are very deserving of this award, including Giannis too. Like I think almost everybody here that we're listing, it is very deserving of the award, but at the same time, it's who just does it better. Right now, I think that Mikhail Bridges has taken a large step up for the defense on the Suns. Mm-hmm. If anything, he's been the main contributor to that, and why we're doing well on defense. But I do see the points for Draymond, and I do think that Draymond could totally get it, and I would be fine with him getting it. I think that he's been doing really well. Mr. fucking, quadruple single guy. So, I mean, homie does well, and he literally covers every stat, but I just think that Mikhail Bridges is a little bit leg up over it.
Currently on the season right now, he is averaging 7 points, 7 rebounds,
This is Draymond,
and 7
by the way.
assists.
Yeah.
777.
Yeah.
Yeah, triple C. Yeah, he's lucky sevens right now.
Lucky
So
sevens.
my only problem with giving it to Draymond right now is the fact that how many games have we played? 55? Something like that. Draymond has played 34 of those games.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I have a problem giving him the award just based on him not being there for a large chunk of the season so far. And I don't know what his timetable is, but I don't know when he's coming back.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and that's fair. But again, hopefully he comes back. And I think just overall, the reason why I want to give it to him and why he's probably the front runner is because he was leading essentially, again, he came back to essentially the 2016 Draymond where he had to lead this defense and bring some of these new guys in like Jordan Poole and I can't think of his name, like James Wise and a bunch of these other guys who don't really know the Warrior system like, Sean Livingston did or Zaza Pachulia back in the day did. And Andrew Bogut did, and my favorite center from back then, Andrew Bogut. So I think him like essentially teaching these young guys and like coordinating this defense while Steve Kerr and Stephen Curry is working on the offense. I think that's probably why he's getting a lot of love from the Defensive Player of the Year, like people who are making odds.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I see it.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I wish that they picked Defensive Player of the Year as more of a holistic award, as
Agreed.
opposed to just being like, oh, you got the most blocks. So
Well,
you're
yeah,
Defensive Player of the Year, you got the most steals.
how much in each category.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
like,
I think that they should definitely take a more holistic approach.
it should
to
be
it.
more of an on-court type of
Just
deals.
everything like presence. Because even
Exactly.
if Draymond doesn't fill the stat sheet with steals and blocks, this man is like directing traffic all game.
Like that's a great point to bring up too. Like I mean, just based off of like presence on the court with like intimidation. How are you with certain players when they
these
see
guys,
you on the court?
All these guys got Hall of Fame.
You know,
intimidating.
there's even that famous there's that famous clip from like a couple years ago when Kawhi was still on the Spurs and he came in for a substitution and LeBron just went,
LeBron
"Fuck."
literally
Yeah.
was like, he was like,
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, but remember he's 6'6" and he's able to bully like centers who are 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
So
it's like it should definitely be a little bit more of a holistic position, 100%.
I definitely.
And I can definitely see why Mikal Bridges is in the dark horse race because that 7 foot wingspan is scary.
Yeah.
It's just as scary.
Like those passing lanes are shut down every time he's in there.
Again, the games I have watched earlier in the season with Mikal Bridges is like, how do you pass around with this man, like potentially locking down one of your best players?
Right.
And
on the
not
team.
only pass, I saw a clip. I was like, while I was doing some research for this segment, I was looking at some clips that were on the Suns' Twitter, and this man, like, there was just one specific clip that I think sums up his defense perfectly. They were running regular pick and roll, and he reached around the screen, poked the ball out of the ball handler's hands, and then went in for a dunk on the other end. It's like things like that you don't see a lot of players do anymore, especially a defensive-minded smaller guy. You know, you
Yeah.
see a lot of these centers that are really defensive-minded, but when you get like more of a forward, a smaller forward like him, I think he's what, like 6'7"?
Yeah.
Something. So yeah, he's like an average size forward.
Yeah.
You know, when you see a guy like this just have like an incredible wingspan and great hands on defense, it's really pretty incredible to watch.
I think the last thing that I want to say about this is that, you know, in terms of like how people look at blocks, it is an art form. So is steals. Steals is 100% an art form.
Absolutely.
I watched a video the other day that was talking about Marcus Smart and like how he goes to steal balls from his opposing player, and he says he doesn't do it when they bounce the ball. He does it when they're literally about to drop, because then they can't go for the ball again. They'll just stumble. So like it's like thinking about that every single play about like a steal, like that takes some next level skill, man.
Seriously, they think
Yeah.
like, I swear to God, their mind's going like a million miles an hour just thinking about that.